Welcome to this week's podcast. Today we are going to talk about A-level versus degree level economics and the difference between the two. I'm joined with NCCAN today, if you want to introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm NCCAN and I'm an associate editor for the NEP and I am a second year economics student.
So we just want to chat a little bit today about your A-level experience and what it was like. So what were kind of the main things in your A-level? What was the process like?
So obviously I started doing my A-levels 2022, so straight after COVID was finished and everyone had to do proper exams, so that was that as well. So I don't think it was too bad. I never did economics at GCSE, so that was my first experience of learning economics. There was other people in my classes that did do economics GCSE, but I hadn't. It wasn't a bad process or anything. I think it was very straightforward, very easy. I had teachers that were very helpful. It was good. It was a good experience.
What were your other subjects?
I did geography A-level and maths A-level.
Okay, so do you think that the maths kind of helped you a little bit in the economics? Was the A-level economics quite mathsy?
No, A-level economics wasn't mathsy at all. There were little questions that required maths, but it wasn't anything that really required a formula. And I think people that haven't done maths for A-level, they might kind of struggle when they have to transition into doing a degree, because not every uni requires you to do a maths A-level. But I do think the maths at first year is not too bad. However, I do think being in second year, I've definitely experienced difficulty and I've done A-level maths before, so it's very detailed, you have to really apply yourself, but I guess practice makes perfect.
Yeah. I think it's probably important to mention that I'm coming from a perspective where I didn't do A-level economics, but I did do A-level maths, so I had that kind of standpoint when I came into uni, but I didn't have the A-level background. So would you say that first year and A-level were quite similar, and a lot of the knowledge that you got from A-levels was focused on in first year?
Yes, I'd say for micro, there were some bits in micro and macro that I found kind of similar to A-levels, but obviously you're doing additional modules. I did current economic affairs. We hadn't done that in A-level, and economics of business making didn't do that at A-level. So I do think there were things that helped me, but obviously you do need to sit down and apply yourself. You can't just be I did this at A-level and it's all good. No.
Yeah. So were macro and micro your main themes throughout A-levels?
Yes.
Yeah.
It was just split into micro and macro. I think the first part of A-levels, year 12, there was theme 1, theme 2, which is theme 1 I think is micro, and then theme 2 is macro, and then year 13 you do theme 3 and theme 4, and theme 3 is micro and theme 4 is macro. But it's it kind of flows together. Obviously you do the whole supply and demand in year 12 and you learn about that, and then you kind of expand that and learn about markets and perfect competition and all of that stuff. So again, we do kind of do that at degree level, but it's different. You're not really focusing on just learning the graphs, you're focusing on the wider picture rather than just a very simplified concept that you do at A-level.
So would you say that kind of A-level's the grounding, and then once you get to degree it's more applied? You have more practical aspects as well, with more maths at degree level?
Yes, I definitely think that. I didn't think it would be as maths. I knew economics is always maths based, but I didn't think it'd be that maths based. But I think as well there is kind of a balance. There are some things that are very theoretical and aren't practical. But I guess I think as well with year 2 as well, you get to pick your modules. I did pick a maths based module, so I did a lot of maths, but I think everything, it comes with due time, and if you practice, if you put your head down, like you'll be fine.
Yeah, no, I would agree with that from a third year perspective, that there's a lot more applied modules. So I've just finished the economics of sport, which is not something that I thought I'd be talking about. You know, being able to apply economics to Formula One and powerlifting was my 2 assignments. And I think that's important to mention, because I think A-level can be quite kind of narrow on grasping the theories, but actually degree is where you can really expand on that. You know, have these kind of niche applications. There's also things like behavioural economics and the economics of the environment, and these type of things are the things that really make the degree stand out. So I just want to ask, from your perspective, what do you think the main differences are between A-level and degree?
The lack of structure. Be disciplined enough to like create a timetable for yourself, and making sure like you've reached deadlines on time, and going to your lectures, not because like you're not with your parents anymore, you're like, can you not go because the lectures are important, your seminars are important. I can tell you from first hand account, like they are important. And I also do think the workload is a lot different from A-level. I don't really remember getting homework in A-level. I think I did, like, you had to, you know, do your revision when an exam came, but there was no like specific homework that my teachers ever gave me. I do think with degrees or economics degrees, like you do have to they do give you assessments. It's always going to happen. It's never going to be like, oh, okay, one day, like in sixth form, like one day your teacher might give you homework, and then the next day, like they might not give you homework. It's never going to be that. So I think to like imbibe that culture of like always doing your things on time, always doing your assessments on time, like focused, making sure that you're doing the work so that when your assessments comes, it's not stressful for you.
I think I just agree with that and say that you know, here you have 3 different lecturers, so 3 different teachers, so they set according to their module. They're not in cahoots with each other, you know, behind the scenes. They're setting for their module, and you might have things like seminar maths questions, pre-reading or pre-lecture videos. So just agreeing that there's a lot of, you know, a variety of kind of work to do away from class, and it might not just be revision anymore, or just be reading over kind of slides from class, but there's actually, you know, different applications as well.
And again, like you do have to do things kind of yourself. Like your lecturer is not going to go over the same thing about 3, 4, 5 different times, like unlike your teachers at sixth form that you can ask them like, hey, like can you go over that? I mean, you can with your lecturers go into their office hours and ask them, but like for them to like do it as a whole lecture again is very unlikely unless you go and ask for yourself personally. And that puts me with my next point, like with relationships with your lecturers. I do think it is easier to form a relationship with your teachers at sixth form because it's a smaller class, like everyone knows everyone, you have that rapport with them easily. But I think when you get into university, obviously it is daunting, it is scary, but the office hours are there for you to also build that relationship with your lecturers, so they know who you are, they can help you, they are very helpful, they will never stray you away. They're not here to be like to put you on the wrong path when it comes to your degree. They're always here to help you. So it's just having that confidence and having that mindset that they are here to help you, and you do also have to go and have that relationship with them by yourself.
So kind of the $1 million question, I suppose, for people thinking about stepping up from A-level to degree level. Do you think having the degree is a benefit to you?
Yes, 100%. I think I've learned a lot more from being an A-level student to now, and I think I've like meeting different people and getting their opinions and learning from their points of views and learning why they think something's like that from like the different theories. Like I've learned so many theories over the last year. Like I think it's so useful to have that degree, like to further your knowledge and further your understanding, because economics is important. Economics is everywhere. So I think, you know what, like
I really like that point. Economics is everywhere. I mean, we've had a couple of podcasts on here that we've called Inclusive Eco, and we've spoken to Lucy about behavioural economics and Leah about data science and how they link with economics. And I think as well, you know, at the degree level, you do have, especially at UEA, things like politics and economics and finance, and you can create those links between, you know, the real world and the world around us, as well as the economics. And I think they were highlighted earlier as well when we spoke a little bit about the modules. Being able to have behavioural economics and apply it to people really shows that, you know, economics is everywhere. You're completely right. And on the subject of people transitioning from A-level to degree-level economics, do you think that it's important for students to have A-level before they come to uni? Obviously, we're on different paths. I didn't and you did. Obviously, UBA doesn't require A-level economics or A-level maths. But what's your personal opinion?
I do think having an economics A-level does give you like a good foundation to start off from. But I think having a maths A-level might be more useful than having an economics, because I think you can quickly grasp the concepts with economics, but you can't quickly grasp the maths side. Like, there are introductory maths courses in the beginning for first year, but I do think if I didn't have that little maths A-level knowledge, like, I don't know how enjoyable economics would have been for me. But I do think it is and it isn't. I guess, like, whatever you decide, like, if you're ready to do the work, it should be fine for you.
Yeah. No, I completely agree with you. Obviously, it is important to mention that UEA doesn't require either of those A-levels we're speaking about. But as someone who did do the maths and didn't do the economics, I would agree that the maths really helped, and it meant that, you know, the graphs that were shown or the equations that were shown, I was able to pick up easier, in my opinion, and then relate that to the economic concepts. You know, you're able to pick up theory quite quick, but sometimes the maths can take a little bit of time to understand. So I was lucky in the sense that I could understand the maths and apply it quite quickly. I do know people that didn't do maths A-level, but then they did do economics. So they had some of the maths knowledge just from kind of extra reading or a little bit of their A-level. And they got put in a different class to me, and their maths was brought up to speed. So yeah, from both of our opinions, obviously you don't need A-level maths or A-level economics, but with either of them, you put yourself at a little bit of an advantage to understand the first year of your degree.
Yeah.
How did you find your exams at A-level? Obviously, you mentioned that you were kind of one of the first years to go back to full exams. How did you find that? Obviously, A-levels is a process where you have the whole 2 years of content and then you get tested on it at the end. What was that like?
Well, I didn't find it too bad. Obviously, I did do 3 subjects, so geography, economics, and maths. I do think with geography and economics, I didn't find it too hard. Like, those weren't my task in like A-levels compared to maths, which was like, it was a lot, but we made it through, so it's fine.
Anybody who does maths knows.
I did do geography coursework, so that was also taking time with the whole A-level process. Like, I know there were so many times like where I was wasting a lot of time with that, but economics during the exam wasn't too bad. Like, if I remember correctly, there's 3 exams. There's the micro part, the macro part, and I think the synoptic paper, if I remember correctly. I don't think it was that bad. They were all like, I think, 2 hours.
Sounds about right.
Yeah. They weren't, I don't think they were bad. I think because A-level was tailored in a way where you kind of just have to learn each like topic for each exam. Like, you don't have to think about the wider thing. I mean, you do have to think about the wider thing per paper, but it's not like you're thinking about micro, macro, like, all together. Like, I think it's very simple to grasp.
I suppose, you know, when you come to uni, you have additional readings, additional work to do. I suppose A-level, you kind of get the curriculum, you get taught that, but you don't need to apply it elsewhere. Would you say that's correct?
I do think that's correct. Like, I mean, obviously with A level, like examiners are always gonna be happy with you applying real world knowledge, but that's not a requirement as long as you know like the curriculum as a whole, like what you're studying as a whole, and like you apply that properly and it works with whatever question you're answering, it's fine. But I think with degree, like the readings are kind of important, like because obviously you might have an idea, but the readings help like push that idea further, and they kind of get you the extra marks. And yeah,
I agree. So obviously at degree level you have different assessments. They come at the end of a semester. There's a range of assessments that you can have, which vary depending on the module. So how have you found that different? Obviously you would have had some exams in first year and upcoming in second year as well, but there's all these courseworks as well.
Yes.
What kind of works for you? What do you enjoy?
I kind of enjoy the exam a lot better though, because it's kind of like, obviously no one likes an exam, but I think an exam kind of just, I like to sit down, just get over and done with. Whereas with coursework, I'm like very detailed when it comes to coursework, so I'm like bothered about every little detail, and that kind of wastes a lot of time. Like when you should be moving forward with something else, you're like, oh, I need to focus on this thing, I need to focus on that thing. Whereas it might have already been fine before, but because you keep having to look at it over and over again, and like working with people, like A levels, I didn't work with anyone. Like it's getting to know different people. First of all, you might have never met these people ever. Like your courses like got a lot of people, so you're meeting different people and being put into different groups, and sometimes it is kind of frustrating when you're doing a lot of work and maybe someone else isn't doing a lot of work, or you're trying to get a hold of this person. But I guess it's part of growing up with the
that would
university
happen
in general.
Any course. There's all these challenges. I would agree that I do like an exam because I feel like it really consolidates the whole module. You kind of get to the end and you know,
that's it.
like a lot of the things about the module, and then you can write it all on paper, and it's done in 2 hours.
And it's based on yourself.
On that day.
However you do is based on yourself. It's not, you're not reliant on another person to do well.
Thank you guys for joining the podcast today. I think this was a really nice one, especially with the applicant days coming up. If you're an applicant, good luck, and thank you for listening. There's lots of support at UEA when it comes to maths or the economic concepts. As we mentioned before, office hours or speaking to your lecturers, seminars and workshops. As we don't need either of the A levels to join here at degree level, there is that extra support provided for those who need it. So thank you, NCCAN, for joining us today, and look out for some of your work on the paper side of the NEP.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening to this week's NEP podcast. This semester we have more podcasts around inclusive eco, some chats with lecturers, and exciting events such as the NEP volume being released, as well as the essay competition. Thank you for listening.